Well, all right, everybody. I I don't know really where to start this segment because it's not a good one. It's not any good news. I'm actually going to be talking about pretty bad, uh, some pretty bad shit, some pretty uh depressing shit. So, if you guys remember Gamergate, you remember that it was a time where if you were left wing, you slowly watched as Nazis, like full on white nationalists and neo Nazis, who would like dog whistle and express that they were neo Nazis and such loudly, pretty much just through dog whistles, to an audience of normies too stupid to get it or of people too dishonest to admit what it is. And just basically like nonstop shilling Nazi propaganda wrapped up under some like culture war pseudo, they called it the alt right outright. Like the alt right was at the time a trendy thing to call yourself because it was this like, oh, we're right wingers, but we're not like the trad cons. We believe in this, and that, which is really all just neo-Nazi propaganda repackaged to look appealing to young people. And the rise of the alt-right happened. It was a lot of young people in suits and haircuts, not too dissimilar than the one that I have right now, ironically enough, talking about how the Jews control the world and everything. And it was really crazy to watch as these figures, like, for example, I think Andy Worski is the best example of this. He's just the first to come to mind. I watched a lot of his content. Andy Worski started out making videos about how, like, these SJWs are so crazy for saying solar eclipses are racist. I remember that. The first Andy Worski video I ever watched, my intro to his content, was him making fun of some SJW who I guess was claiming that the solar eclipse was racist. I don't remember how, there was this big full-on solar eclipse back in 2017, and he was claiming that that solar eclipse was racist. Pretty ridiculous. Or sorry, the SJW was. And he was responding to that. And I got into his videos through that, and by the time I stopped watching his content, he was talking about, like, race realism. And his nickname had become Andy Race War Ski. Andy Race War Ski. You know? So, like, the degradation of these figures who would basically use every excuse and, shield against the accusation of what they are, Nazi, and the repackaging and the, dog whistling of their Nazi beliefs to a normie audience to make it so they wouldn't realize what they're, who they are, was a really big problem. And any lefty who tried to call it out would be like, oh, you're taking away the meaning from the word Nazi. You're taking away the meaning from the word Nazi. Now it doesn't mean anything. Nazism isn't going to come back. What are you talking about? You crazy SJWs, get over yourselves. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway. Now it is 2022, and Kanye West has gone on now numerous rants about how the Holocaust is, made up. 6 million Jews didn't die. The Jews control the world. The JQ is real. Yada yada yada. He's gone on full on neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic rants, and frankly, Kanye West is probably the biggest gift neo-Nazis have gotten in a long time. I mean, he really, really is. He is a wealthy, extremely influential, memed to all hell. So people have this level of like, oh, he's not really serious. He's just joking around. Oh, he's just memeing. Oh, he's just crazy. Oh, don't take him seriously. Nothing he's saying actually matters. He's also black, so he's got that as like sort of a shield against accusation of racism and everything. He's got so many of the checkboxes like covered for the perfect neo-Nazi figure. Not to mention, he is in fact riddled with mental illness. Absolutely riddled with mental illness, which makes you, very susceptible to Nazi propaganda. It is what it is. I'm sorry. It's true. Nazis prey on people who are mentally ill and don't have any support structures to offer them support and friendship and love. Those are the people Nazis come after. When you bully and ostracize people with mental disabilities online, which is something the right fights for, the right are typically the people that come along to induct them as part of their cult. Who would have thought? It's a cycle. With that said, realistically and completely predictably, neo-Nazis around the world have been, especially on the internet, but, you know, in real life too, as you can see, have been heavily inspired by Kanye West. Obviously, we've got some neo-Nazis doing their little Sieg Heil salute. Kanye West is right about the Jews. You know, I guess this is a Nazi thing that got blurred out. The original image is not hard to find. But yeah, pretty fuck shit. Not only that, but I had this video sent to me just earlier today. This is apparently a seemingly pretty popular tech channel called Tech Lead Show, who has just outright come out and just said, yeah, the JQ, I believe in it. I'm a Nazi. Yep. This guy's got 218,000 subscribers. He does not really make political videos, but his video from 2 days ago, Why Kanye West is Right, has 338,000 views. I have not seen this yet, but the response has been overwhelmingly positive if you look at the like ratio. Not only that, but the comments, the comments go as follows. They called him anti-Semitic, but they didn't call him a liar. Thank you for being courageous enough to put this out on a controlled platform for the normal masses to see. Anyone who spends only a few hours investigating Kanye's opinions on this subject will come to know that he is right. West has sacrificed his career and money to awaken people to the facts, which can no longer be discredited with complaints of anti-Semitism. We owe him greatly for taking this stance. Tech Lead knows the conspiracy is true, but has to be nuanced to pretend to be ignorant. Thank you, Tech Lead. Based and red-pilled. So I think you can pick up on, just how empowered this has made anti-Semites. And, yeah, we're going to take a look at this shit. For those that don't know, this guy's just some, crypto, finance YouTuber. And, big Elon Musk simp type of guy. He's got... If you guys want an idea of how much power neo-Nazis have on the internet, here's his one... He has a gold sub button. This is his second channel. He has a YouTube channel with at least 1 million subscribers to have that gold button. And 2 channels with at least 100,000. He's an ex-Google engineer as well, yeah. So, expect to see a lot of Nazis come out of the woodwork in the coming months and years, particularly with these 2 events happening. Kanye West being such a large figure, becoming outspoken about his Nazi beliefs, as well as Elon Musk buying Twitter. Elon Musk is going to massively empower the far right and neo-Nazis on Twitter, the largest social media platform in the world, to just be open about their Nazism. And I believe Kanye West's beliefs are also going to push people in that direction, make them feel as though they are more numerous than they really are, and thus be more brave to admit what they are. The thing is, and I cannot admit this enough, this always ends in disaster for these people. These Nazi types have relied on, time and time again, go back in history, they've relied on hiding what they truly believe until it's too late. Right now, Kanye West is revealing the cards too early. He's not only revealing the cards too early himself, but he is inspiring the neo-Nazis themselves to reveal the cards too early. While yes, there is a lot of support for this video, and the Nazis are going to come out in droves to support this stuff, the same exact thing happened with the pedophiles on YouTube. My channel got absolutely fucking swamped by lolicon pedophiles, my Twitter too, despite the fact that they're fucking pedos. Their ideology and their beliefs and their, the shit things they were saying are not popular among the broad majority of people online or in society, but they come together and they can sort of create the illusion of popularity in their beliefs. And that is what is happening here. But to your average normie, they're going to see, oh, wait, they're just, these people are just Nazis? Okay. Now, that, of course, won't be enough. One of the biggest things that's worrying as well is that a lot of Gen Z Holocaust believe, I like a really worrying amount of Zoomers don't know much about the Holocaust. Please, please, please don't ad block me. Please, come on. All right, I have to disable my ad block. Survey finds shocking lack of Holocaust knowledge among millennials and Gen Z. 63% of those surveyed did not know 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. Isn't that an underestimate? Over half of those thought the toll was under 2 million. A nationwide survey released Wednesday shows a worrying lack of basic Holocaust knowledge among adults over or under 40 years old, including 1 in 10 respondents who did not recall ever having heard the word Holocaust before. 1 in 10 respondents having never heard the word Holocaust before. So I think it's clear what Republicans and the far right in America and their stranglehold on the public education system has wrought. They have desperately tried to pave over the brutal murders and the death and the suffering that their ideologies have caused throughout history because they need a completely ignorant generation of Zoomers to come in and be like,
oh, fascism, this looks cool, let's try this out, this looks like it would work, woohoo!
Oh, we're being sent to concentration camps, oh boy, oh, that didn't go the way we thought. Anyway, let's watch this Asian man explained to us why this black man is right about how the Jews are fucking over white people and how white people are the real victims in society. Let's go!
Is he actually right?
Should I speed this video up? Did I do it all? I think I already did. Yes, I already did. Good.
Some of the things that he's saying. Once we move past all of the hurt and historic anger that pulls up memories of the Holocaust, we want to take a look at the things he's actually saying. And does he even have a point here, moving past the emotional anger? And I think this is...
Hold on. I have a question. Where is this man from? What is this man's nationality? What is this man's nationality? Who in chat knows for sure? Canadian. Well, yeah. Chat. Is this some fashy shit? You're gonna catch me in this trap, chat? Or, Zan, you're not gonna trap me in this trap? It's not a trap, Electo. It's not a trap. Quebec. I just Googled it. Well, thank you, Hidden Marty. I appreciate that. Anyway, this is clearly Canadian propaganda. As you all know, Canada did not help at all in the fight against the Nazis. Not at all. Not a single Canadian fought against the Nazis. Name one that did. Yeah, there you go.
something that Kanye West actually suggested we do as
I do know that Canadians fought in World War I, so they probably did fight in World War II.
well. We kind of forget about history and take a look just at the engineering, the logical, rational side of all of this. Because for all of the emotional outrage that he causes when he says the words like the Jewish media, I mean, the media is kind of controlled by a lot of Jewish people out.
So, here's the thing about Nazi propaganda. We had this whole arc on the left where we had to like struggle with people like Non-Compete who are super incapable of like grappling with the opposition's positions, right? They can't even imagine a world in which even a piece of the argument that their opposition makes could possibly be somewhat correct, insofar as like you need to account for it when making a response, right? So there is a grain of truth in the idea that people of ethnic Jewish heritage hold a lot of positions of power in media, banks, and like other institutions in our government and in our world, right? That is true. However, there are very good sociological reasons for that. One of the biggest ones is that for a very long time, Christians specifically, I think it was, were not allowed to engage in usury. I think it was called I believe it was like where was it? Particularly in Germany. This was in Germany, right? In the Weimar Republic. I don't know a lot of the fucking history of the Weimar Republic and everything. I gotta do my old historical catch up on this shit. But like the idea behind it was that Christians and like people of other religions and whatnot weren't allowed to own banks or engage in usury or hold particular positions that typically lended to owning a lot of wealth. And so this led to Jewish people kind of being all but pigeonholed into those industries, right? And it was like, oh, well, yeah, let's fucking go, right? There's nothing wrong with this, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that there is a disproportionate amount of people who are Jewish in these positions. However, I think it's worth pointing out, these charts right here are literally wrong. Like, most of these charts are not accurate. Like, roughly 25 to 40% of the people on these charts labeled as Jewish are not Jewish. Now, here's the thing. Nazis will try to make the argument that, oh, I'm just saying that there's a lot of Jewish people in power. I'm not saying anything other than that, but it's very obvious what the suggestion is. The idea that there's some sort of overarching goal that all of these people have that they're trying to reach. And that goal, when you look at any, for example, neo-Nazi mass shooter, of which there are going to be many more inspired by this in the coming days. By the way, expect there to be probably a neo-Nazi mass shooting by the end of the year because of this stuff. I would not be surprised if there's some neo-Nazi mass shooting inspired and empowered by this by the end of the year. If not early next year, coming off the tail end of this stuff. Like, the amount of empowerment that neo-Nazis have felt, I imagine a lot of them feel now is a better time than ever to shoot something up and post a manifesto online talking about how the Jews are replacing white people and this is why they're doing it. Of course, the Jewish question has always gone hand in hand with the Great Replacement. And when one of these people tries to respond to criticism about the Great Replacement, they say, well, what do you mean? Are you trying to say that white people aren't becoming displaced? I mean, technically, brown people are outbreeding white people, so I mean, they're not wrong. What's wrong with pointing that out, right? What's wrong with pointing out that there's a little bit more Jews in positions of power? What do you mean, right? Obviously there is a conclusion that they expect their audience to be brought to by this, okay? And that conclusion is, well, what conclusion did the Germans come to in the 1930s?
Here we can actually see here who controls your mind. This was a chart back in 2013. All of these red is Jewish people, right? So they own like Universal Studios, ABC News, CBS, CNN, Columbia Pictures, DreamWorks, Facebook, Google. Also,
man, this guy's just full on JQing to 300,000 people. YouTube just doesn't give a shit. By the way, massive YouTube video. YouTube does not give a shit about this. I'm making videos lately where I bring this up, but YouTube has absolutely lifted the hammer off of the neo-Nazis and the far right on YouTube. Not only are they running ads for hate groups, like literal hate groups, like designated hate groups are running ads for their YouTube channels on YouTube, and it's all good. But like massive figures that are breaking TOS in every video are getting millions of views, and it's totally fine. It's really wild how these people still claim to be the victim too.
Run by Jewish people: Yahoo, Marvel, Pixar, The New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks, Comcast, The New York Times, Comedy Central, Wall Street Journal. I mean, admittedly, a lot of these large media organizations and tech companies that are able to shape global narratives are run by Jewish people. So does Kanye West have a point here?
I don't really know how to respond to the tongue-in-cheek DreamWorks smile like, well, is he really wrong? When we all know that the conclusion here, like even the comments were all like, oh yeah, tech lead knows the conspiracy is true, based and red-pilled, he's one of us. Like, the conclusion is he wants the Jews to be murdered. This man wants a Holocaust too, as does Kanye West. And also, I think I gotta talk about it, all right? I know I'm gonna get called racist for it, and I don't give a shit, all right? I don't give a fucking shit, all right? There is, and Kanye West is going to be one of the biggest people pushing it, a massive wave of reactionary propaganda that is specifically tailored to the already existing cultural narratives that are prevalent in the Black community. One of the biggest ones has to be that white people are pushing gayness and transness and LGBTness onto the Black community as a way of suppressing them and keeping them down. the right is going to start appropriating these pseudo woke arguments that are like, yeah, the left and white people are doing insert good thing to hurt you black people, so become conservatives. That's becoming a big fucking issue. Kanye West is doing it. Fucking Candace Owens is pushing that shit. It's becoming more and more obviously, it's literally the basis of all of Dave Chappelle's talking points, is that like, oh god, it's fucking rough. And it's not really a type of propaganda that's the same as the type that's being used on like the young teenage white boys that are like worried about women being in their video games, because a lot of it is meant to like appeal to cultural anxieties in the black community in America. And it's really hard for me as like a white lefty dude to argue against those points, because I'm a white dude, you know? But I do my best. I do my best. But they love using idpol as like a defense. I guarantee, every single hate comment on this video is going to be, calling an Asian man racist, a Nazi. Very interesting. Oh, how can he be racist if he's not white? That'll be literally every reply. And like the profile picture will be like a honkler, and like the name will be honkler 420 1488. Kill all Jews, lolicon 911. Like that'll be the username, and it'll be honkler. You guys don't know what honkler is? Okay. If you guys don't know what honkler is, then you guys are dreadfully unaware of like the way that the right likes to package their Nazi memes. Okay. Oh my god, can we go back to the Clown World video? Is that still on the internet? This is literal Nazi propaganda, this video that I'm about to show you. And there's nothing about it that to a normie would look like Nazi propaganda. Well, obviously, I don't know if this was made as Nazi propaganda, but the Nazis appropriated at the very least. And literally, when the original video was up before it got taken down, all of the comments were literally just Nazi shit, talking about the Jews and you know how the Holocaust didn't happen and everything. Are the comments still all dog whistles? No doubt. But like, look at this shit and tell me that a normie could pick up on like this being Nazi propaganda. Amazing video. It is definitely a banger. It's definitely like a good song, and it goes hard. But at the same time, you know, Nazis appropriated that shit and everything. But there's nothing about that you know overtly signals like Nazi propaganda, right? But like you can tell, like the part where it's all the NPCs screaming, that's supposed to be like the left and everything. And yeah, there's you can tell where they're supposed to be, right? And Nazis have always done a good job of sort of packaging the horrible things they believe in a way that doesn't look like Nazi propaganda. Oh my god, neo-Nazis lie? Who could have possibly predicted such a thing?
And to me, it's kind of like saying there's a lot of
It's almost like they're bad people.
white male power in executive management positions in corporate companies, and nobody gets mad about that. But when
So, by the way, I should mention what these people mean by Jewish in control in like positions of power literally just means like your ethnicity. Like if you have like a great uncle who like has Jewish ethnicity, then you're Jewish now by their standards, okay? So if you're not like, I guess, a Christian or like I don't know. I don't know what the standard would have to be. Like a lot of the people on these lists as well are literally just known not Jewish. Like those lists will those little like Nazi lists where it's all the little Jewish stars of David next to the names. By the way, isn't it hilarious how he says, by the way, there's nothing wrong with what Kanye is saying here, just get that whole Holocaust thing out of your mind, get the whole Holocaust thing out of your mind. Meanwhile, he's flashing an image on screen in which is a picture of a bunch of supposedly Jewish people labeled with Jewish stars. I wonder where they got that idea from. I wonder if they got that idea from anywhere. I wonder where the internet people who made those memes got that idea. I'm sure it's just a completely innocuous signal of a marker of who they believe is Jewish and who isn't. I'm sure it is completely innocuous, no harm intended, no ideology, commonly associated with 1930s and 40s Germany being implied here at all. Move on with your day, guys. Don't worry.
Narratives are run by Jewish people. So does Kanye West have a point here? And to me, it's kind of like saying there's a lot of white male power in executive management positions in corporate companies, and nobody gets mad about that. But when Kanye West says there's a lot of people of Jewish religion in these meetings,
so the reason why nobody gets mad when somebody says there's a lot of people who are like white males in positions of power in these companies is because it's not usually making the argument that anybody needs to lose their job or be killed or be like, or if there's like a conspiracy against anybody. Usually it's just like, hey, there's a disparity here. It's because of insert sociological reasons. We can probably help that disparity by sort of like encouraging women to do similar fields, right? Like nobody has ever pushed the idea of killing all white men. Nobody with any level of power has ever pushed the idea of killing all white men and just completely genociding them out of society because they hold too much power and are the fault for all of the world's problems. Nobody who actually holds power and isn't like some Tumblr 14-year-old actually believes that or is pushed for that. So maybe that's why nobody cares when you point out that white men tend to hold a lot of positions of wealth and economic power in society.
Media companies and tech companies, then everybody gets upset all of a sudden. And I think you have to remember that someone like Kanye West, who got to the level of success that he's at on the global scale, does not live in the same kind of politically correct, naive, bubble-wrapped world that we live in, but he's in this cold, hard, realist world, and he must see.
Okay. I think I need to tell you guys something. There is a trend of wealthy, famous men with all the money and like material value in the world that they could want getting like dumped by the women they love because they're like weird pieces of shit and then falling apart and turning to Nazism. It's actually a trend now. First, it was Notch. I don't know if you guys remember, but Notch was married when Minecraft first came out. He had a wife whose username was simply EZ in game, and they got divorced. And then he got really, really rich and kind of became sort of a douchebag. And as far as I know, he has yet to have any other significant relationship since then. And now he just tweets Nazi shit on Twitter and became like some MGTOW dude, right? He's Notch is JQ'd on Twitter, right? Elon Musk does the same shit. And has gone down like the far right thing after getting divorced by Grimes and his other like 4 or 5 wives, I guess, and his kids not wanting to see him anymore. And now we've got Kanye West going through the same thing with Kim Kardashian and his kids and going full Nazi. It is literally a trend of these like rich, wealthy loser men who get left by the women who can't even stick around them for the money. Like how shit do these guys have to be that with Elon Musk is the richest man in the world and none of these women could stand him? That's how bad these guys are. All right? That's how big of fucking losers these guys are. All right? Imagine Kanye West is one of the most famous and loved people in the world. Imagine how much of a piece of shit he has to be in private for like him to have, gone through the like gotten left by somebody that he was like raising a child with, like these are not good people. These people are fucking losers who got left by the women in their lives because they are fucking losers, and afterwards they turn to some MGTOW neo-Nazi shit, and it always leads to their downfall in the end. Like, who the fuck cares or talks about Notch anymore? because of all of that. Nobody cares about Notch anymore after all of that. Nobody cares or is going to care about Elon Musk after a while. And no one's going to care about Kanye West in a few decades. Kanye West, frankly, has been the butt of people's jokes for a long time. The only reason why that's a benefit to Kanye is that people use the idea that Kanye is like a memer as a defense for what he's saying here. I've seen Nazis try to say, "Oh, well, he's just Bibi. He's just joking around. Oh, yeah, he's just, you know, it's just like, yeah, he's not serious. He's just joking around." It's like, well, obviously he's serious.
See things and call things out for as they are. And so it's not entirely surprising to me that someone of his street smarts and instincts has also noticed that.
Okay, also, imagine saying that Kanye West exists in reality. Kanye West has been going on mentally ill sprees about how he's like a godly dragon reincarnate. I don't even know, like a chaos dragon. That literally like Jordan Peterson chaos dragon tier shit. This is not a man who exists in reality. Why are all of our political opponents so out of it?
A large number of these media and tech organizations do seem to be run by people of the same religious faith. And what does that really mean? Maybe he's just kind of calling that out and saying, what is this? Is there...
Wait, does this guy not... The people... Those symbols don't even represent Jewish religion. It's ethnicity. How fucking... Wait, I know that Nazis are stupid, obviously, but does this guy actually not know that the Nazis and the neo-Nazis and Kanye West and those memes aren't referring to these people are religiously Jewish? It's referring to this idea that but a lot of them are just ethnically Jewish, or they claim to be, or they've claimed they are. Like the Nazis have claimed they are by like a quarter or some shit. Like they'll really stretch it. Like I don't like most of the people on that list. They don't even, like, the Nazis aren't even claiming celebrate Judaism, the religion. That's not what these people have a problem with. They think that there's some aspect to the Jewish, like, ethnic group that is, like, pushed them higher. Like, if you talk to the average Nazi, usually what they'll try to attribute as the reason why Jewish people have more power in their worldview is that Jewish people have higher IQ than white people. Of course, Jewish people, white people, different thing in their worldview. And so they're like a threat to the white race. It's really bizarre. They'll say the same thing about Asian people, that they're like higher IQ and thus a threat and need to be kept out. Like the more like really strict Nazis that just want only white people. It's the thing you have to realize. And the thing that makes debating Nazi topics like this so hard is that so many of these people believe different things, right? Some neo-Nazis are literally just dumb fucks like this guy probably, who've fallen into like some dumb stats they think they understand online and think they've taken some brave, new, controversial position that he's going to be heralded in the future as some like brave truth sayer, when in reality he's just falling for propaganda that's been around for nearly 100 years now. Longer if we're just talking straight up anti-Semitism. I mean, the Jews have been like the most persecuted group of people like since the Bible and in the Bible.
There's potentially chance for, say, collusion in this space. So I wanted to give you my perspective on this as just a normal, uneducated tech bro on this with a passing interest in Jewish religion. And it is typically that I feel I can't trust any religious person, basically, because they have an ulterior motive. So people will act in totally bizarre, unpredictable ways to me because they have some random
Okay. Hold on a second. Kanye West is like the most insane, hardcore Christian, like, known publicly right now. The guy literally goes on rants about how he is God incarnate. Am I wrong? He literally named an album Jesus is Lord, didn't he? Or some shit like that? Like Jesus is the God, or praise Jesus or some shit. Jesus is our Lord and Savior, from Jesus is King. Yeah. Like, yeah, some shit like that. Some Christian bullshit. Like, it's very clear this man's problem is not with religion and people who are religious having ulterior motives in positions of power. If it was, this guy would have videos nonstop talking about how Christians are holding back our society. And as far as like religious people go and what they believe and their beliefs being instilled in others, I assure you, Jewish people are about the least, like, what's the word for it? Like when you push your religion on other people? Like the least preachy about their religion of like any religious group I've ever met. I have never, ever in my life had a Jewish person come up to me and say anything even approximating something that like I need to become Jewish or I need to celebrate that religion or I need to do this or that to save my soul. Even the nicest Christians I've met have had sort of this little tongue-in-cheek like, oh, well, I'll pray for you kind of thing whenever I tell them that I don't believe in God. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's very clearly not a I have a problem with religious people thing here.
Doctrine that they've been brainwashed into thinking, right? Like some people are going to just randomly go sacrifice themselves for some cause. And that's totally bizarre to me because it's not a logical thing, but they're acting for their faith or religion. And so funny enough, if it were up to me, I would actually say that no person in a position of power should be religious. They should renounce their faith because now they are beholden to their people and they should be acting in a rational way, not with some
Okay, so he's just retarded. Okay, good. All right. That's good. We're good. All right. Good to know. So, this is basically what tech bros, what he's arguing for right now is a technocracy, right? The idea that, like, there would be nothing but cold, hard, calculated facts and logic driving the decisions of our politicians in order to make our society arrive at the best possible position for its citizens, right? That is called an ideology. And, yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice if everybody who controlled our country was a robot with no religious beliefs, no ulterior motives of making themselves money or getting themselves ahead, didn't have any faith-based ideas that drove their political messaging or decision-making. That would be nice. That would be a nice world. However, I would not like to live in a world in which, based on your job, what you're allowed to believe, the faith you're allowed to subscribe to, is, like, controlled. I'm sorry. Since when are we trying to, like, control people's freedom of religion? As I do believe in separation of church and state, there's a difference between separation of church and state and Christians aren't allowed to be teachers, for example, right? Like, there's a big difference between, hey, the teacher who is Christian isn't allowed to force the entire class to like pray and read the Bible in school, and oh, that Christian teacher isn't allowed to work there anymore because she is Christian. Those are big differences, and I am not in favor of the latter.
ulterior backhand motive, which is to please their God. And, there could be anything written in these holy scriptures that they've been indoctrinated into believing, right? Like there's a lot of fine text in there. What if there was a piece of text that said, there's only one land that is the Holy Land, and this country that you're in isn't it? Can you trust a leader who's going to say, well,
Hey, guess what Christians believe, my man? Christians believe that the Jews must control the Holy Land and that Israel must exist in order for Jesus of Nazareth to rise and the rapture to begin. The second coming of Jesus Christ requires the existence of Israel, which is why Christians, particularly here in America, are so in favor of continuing its existence and supporting it so strongly. Does this guy's literally, he's doing it. He's actually just doing the JQ now. He's saying, well, you see, how can Jewish politicians care about America if Israel is their homeland? This is, I referenced it earlier. Apparently this guy's Canadian, but I think it's safe to say that some part of his family history extends to another country. Does that mean that he does not have the ability to have the best interests of whatever country he lives in now at heart? Of course not. Of course not. This is stupid, even looking from the logic of a Nazi, if you use your brain for more than 3 seconds.
They don't believe that your land that you're living in, that they're controlling and governing, is truly the Holy Land. So then they really have no vested interest in this land, and their goal maybe is to extract value from this land and to empower their Holy Land. I mean, for someone such as myself, and generally I'm not religious,
Okay. So he's going to try to do the whole... You see, the US government is so supportive of Israel because the Jews are trying to funnel money out of America to make Israel the strongest country in the world. Okay. Interesting conspiracy. Only problem is that, like, everything from, like, Christian, like, even the most Christian hard right politicians support Israel. It is literally the hard line stance to support Israel and be a Zionist in American government, particularly among Republican Christian figures like, for example, Donald Trump, our boy Kanye West's best buddy.
I'm going to behave in a rational, self-preserving type of way. Whereas when you see religious people, you just don't know what they're going to do because there's all these random holy scriptures that they're following. And who knows, oftentimes it can even be at a conflict of interest with what is good for the public good. And so when I see large groups of religious people with power concentrated in a certain area, it does kind of concern me as well. And I wonder, do we need some more religious diversity in here as well? You know, I know that in the...
By the way, the idea that, like, America is, like, draining any significant amount of its power or wealth over to Israel. I mean, it is. There's a lot of it going over there, but, like, it is not a substantial portion. Like, we give a lot of money to Israel, but it's not like America's going under. We're still number one, and will always be. Assuming, well, there's a lot that could happen to change that, if I'm being honest. But for now, looks like we're going to be number one for a bit.
Modern day, people like to say, hey, why don't we just be welcoming of everything? We have freedom of gender, freedom of religion, freedom of race, just whatever, anything goes, do whatever you want. But I think it's funny that we'll also whitelist certain religions. So for example, if all these red people in power were of Al-Qaeda religion, that may be kind of concerning to people, and they would say, hey, what's going on here?
Did he just call Islam the Al-Qaeda religion? Okay. All right.
Is there chance for collusion? And the other concerning thing for me here is that the Jewish religion in particular...
This man's brain has been melted into a sponge by Reddit, okay? This guy, you can't see it, but this guy's currently looking at a whiteboard he has on his wall. And on that whiteboard is simply list of arguments I've won on Reddit, all right? That board has no white on it anymore. He's just been writing over like hundreds of layers of strikes from Reddit arguments he's won. You know, like being a fedora tipping Reddit atheist, Elon Musk rat, tech bro. This is why technocracy, being like too technocracy pilled, is bad. Like, as much as I would like for scientists and, like, you know, logic bro, realists to be controlling our country, the idea that, like, not being religious would fix the problem with politicians doing things with their power that benefit them alone and harm the American people or harm the people of their nation, the idea that religion is the problem there is pretty laughable.
Is quite exclusion or inclusion based, whereas like a Jewish person typically should marry another Jewish person, and if you're not Jewish, then you don't belong in this group and you don't have that privilege. So I have to say, for me at least, it got me wondering, do religious people view me as one of them, as part of their...
Is that even true? I know Jewish people who've married non-Jewish people. There's been no issue with it. Is he like confusing? Like, I know there's a lot of different like sects of Judaism, but I have a feeling most Jews won't be ostracized by their entire family. Like, it's kinda, but it's not super common. Yeah, like, I don't think that most Jewish people would be like totally ostracized by their family for marrying someone who's not Jewish. But yeah, if they did, then that's cringe.
Their group, or is this more of a power grab in order to strengthen one group of people over another? And I would say it's incredibly important that it was someone like Kanye West who brought up this discussion, because as a black person, his community was of course prosecuted for slavery, and then you've got the Jewish people prosecuted in the Holocaust. And both of these groups of people are kind of victims, and they kind of use that to acquire victimhood status in order to make themselves unassailable.
God. I don't really know what else to say other than this is the kind of shit that pretty much everybody believed back in 2016. Like, it really feels like everybody thought this kind of shit back in the day. Like, maybe not like the full-on Nazi propaganda, but basically everything leading up to the conclusion. It's really wild how popular this type of thinking can get, because a lot of people are either too dumb or dishonest enough to hide the fact that it's very blatant Nazi propaganda.
And Kanye West moved past that, actually, and he actually began denouncing the Black Lives Matter movement. And so if anyone's a victim here, if any group suffered, well, it was Kanye West, because the black people probably suffered as much, if not more, than the Jewish people, right? And he's still asking people to...
Now you're literally doing Oppression Olympics. Now you are literally doing the Oppression Olympics that you just accused the left of doing. I did bring up earlier that they'd bring up that Kanye West is black because idpol is the only defense they have.
Move past that history and to let it go and to just focus on building the future instead of using the past as a way to, gain sympathy. And so we can see here in Wikipedia, it states that whenever Israel faces a public relations...
What did he just say? Hold on. I need to hear that again. That was good. I like that a lot.
Instead of using the past as a way to, gain sympathy. And so we can...
Instead of using the past to gain sympathy, what he actually means is looking at the past and learning from it and recognizing the patterns of, holy fuck, popular people are spreading the exact same propaganda that led up to the Holocaust. And now these people that are supporting it are begging and pleading, no, don't bring up the Holocaust, don't look at that, don't talk about that, no, like, and are super worried about it. What should that tell you?
See here in Wikipedia, it states that whenever Israel faces a public relations debacle, then the Jewish organizations will orchestrate this extravaganza called anti-Semitism. And the purpose is severalfold. First, it is to discredit any charges by claiming that the person is an anti-Semite. It's to turn the Jews into victims, as if the Jews are being threatened by a new Holocaust. It's a role reversal where the Jews are now the victims. So it serves as a function of discrediting the people leveling the charge, and Kanye West probably was...
Wait, isn't the extravaganza thing literally like a Nazi conspiracy about like a get-together? Like the literal cabal get-together of like the Jewish elite? Isn't that what that is? American political scientists argues that anti-Zionism and often... Okay, that is not what he is talking about here. This is Norman Finkelstein arguing that anti-Zionism is often just criticism of Israeli policies, such as Israeli policies when it comes to the Palestinian people have been conflated with anti-Semitism. Yeah, that's true. That is not what's happening here, though. A better example of this would be like when Vosh did the PCRF stream for the for Palestinian children and got accused of being like anti-Semitic for being opposed to Israel's treatment of the Palestinians. I'm pretty certain that's referencing, not Kanye West's desire to expose the Jewish cabal controlling the world.
To turn the Jews into victims, as if the Jews are being threatened by a new Holocaust. It's a role reversal where the Jews are now the victims. So it serves as a function of discrediting the people leveling the charge, and Kanye West probably was able to see through this and understand that...
So, that's in reference to criticizing the policy of Israel, which is based... Kanye West does not criticize the policy of Israel at all, as far as I'm aware. Instead, he's just talked about how he thinks the Jews control everything.
With the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of people were just looting stores and they discredited anybody by using their history. And so maybe in his perspective, Jewish people are also just using their history, the Holocaust, in order to automatically make themselves the victim in any scenario. The linguist Noam Chomsky also argued here that there have long been efforts to identify anti-Semitism in an effort to exploit anti-racist sentiment for political ends. Now the fun...
Wait, is he just going to keep on trying to claim that he's being anti-Zionist? I mean, the comments in this video all literally say, Tech Lead, I think this guy's name is, knows about the conspiracy and knows it's legit and just has to dog whistle and that he's actually based. But like, is this guy genuinely dumb? Or do you think he knows and he's dog whistling here? Yeah, these tech bro types don't know shit outside of their field. Makes you question how much about their actual field they know.
Funny thing though is that it is actually the Jewish people, the radical Jews known as the Zionists, who are actually considered racist.
Wait, okay, can we... what? Wait. What? The radical Jews, aka Zionists. Zionism refers to the people who adhere to the idea that the state of Israel has a right to exist above any other state, that it should be a state for Jewish people, of Jewish people, by Jewish people, for Jewish people, and that it is like, it has every right to expand out into the West Bank and into the areas where Palestinian villages and towns are, to take over their land and expand further. That is what Zionism is. Zionism is not A, being religiously Jewish, and Zionism is not either, also not, B, being ethnically Jewish, which is, by the way, what many of the people in the image that he flashed on screen earlier are. And not only that, but Kanye West has not been criticizing Israel or Zionism at all.
And actually in 1975, the United Nations designated Zionism as a form of racism and racial discrimination and banned them. However, it was as recent as 1991 when Israel joined the United Nations that they forced the UN to repeal this ban and say, hey, Zionism should be okay. But there's been a lot of criticism of Zionism throughout history up to present day, where they know that Zionism is replete with manifestations.
This is all dishonest. Nothing that Kanye West has said or done has anything to do with Zionism or the state of Israel. He is explicitly talking about Jewish people, not Zionists. Not people who are religiously Jewish, by the way. People that could in any way be called Jew. He very explicitly uses the vagueness of Jew. J-E-W, nothing else.
Of deep hostility and contempt towards the indigenous populations, and Zionism typically views Palestine as the Holy Land. So when they go out to these other countries, they typically view those as the indigenous groups of people. And so digging into history a little bit here, some have said that Zionism is more of a colonialist movement where they seek to conquer other lands and to strengthen their Holy Land, Palestine. And so there's also this terrifying ideal in Zionism.
Yes, Christians are also Zionists. What? I don't... Wait, does he not understand that Christians are Zionists too, right? He understands that, right? He understands that Jesus Christ of Nazareth cannot have his second coming, and and God's believers can't be brought up to heaven and granted passage to the great kingdom of heaven unless Israel exists, right? He knows that literally every Christian also supports, like, there are probably more Christians who support the state of Israel than there are Jewish people. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably a higher percentage or even total quantity of Christians who are Zionists than Jewish people who are Zionists. Because, like, Christianity is arguably why current modern day Israel still exists in the state that it does. If it weren't for Christian GOP politicians, where do you think the money came from for the Iron Dome or any of the other like billions of dollars in air defenses and like artillery that they have? Like, most of it came from us, and the people who wrote those bills and signed off on them, oh, they were Republicans. And where do they go every week? Every Sunday? A Christian fucking church. Probably a Baptist one.
known as assimilation of Jews into the modern world, where the ideal is to abandon traditional views and opinions in an attempt at modernization and assimilation into the modern world, and therefore to integrate with other societies. So it's a cultural synthesis without necessarily losing their identity as a people by perhaps enforcing that they only marry within their own religious group of people. Now, during my travels, one time I was able to
Once again, nothing he's defending. This is literally how people back in the day would defend Trump. So when Trump was running for office, lefties would say shit like, oh my god, this guy's a fucking idiot. If he gets elected, all this bad stuff is going to happen. And then like centrists and liberals and like anti-SJW types were like, oh, you crazy SJWs. Trump, there's not going to be a massive pandemic that kills hundreds of thousands of Americans because of Trump. There's not going to be some sort of fucking Nazi alt-right uprising at the Capitol where they destroy shit and attempt to kill or murder politicians because Trump wins. What are you crazy liberals talking about? Trump's gonna be just like any other president, just an old white man. That's the worst case scenario, guy. Don't you guys worry. How many of you remember that from 2016 and like 2017 or 2015? How many of you heard liberals, like liberal anti-SJW YouTubers, tell you how Trump wasn't going to be that bad if he got elected? Look where we are now. January 6th. Never before in human history has a Confederate flag flown on the US Capitol. And for the first time in American history, it happened because of Donald Trump. I want you to think about that for a minute. This is the same type of person making these arguments. Those people would try to play this game of what we called like 4D chess. The term 4D chess became very popular, or 3D chess became very popular in reference to Trump. Basically, Trump supporters who didn't feel comfortable fully admitting that Trump was as dumb and obviously evil as he was, would try to make excuses for how what he said or did wasn't actually what he meant to say or do, and what he meant was this or that. And basically they'd explain through some convoluted mental gymnastics how the bad thing Trump did was actually indicative of the fact that he tried to do a good thing the left would agree with. That is legitimately what so-called classical liberals on YouTube back in the day would try to push. So right now we've got that same thing where Kanye West comes out and says Nazi propaganda, and these guys have to come along and say, well, actually, if you look at it, maybe what Kanye really meant was yada, yada, yada. I watched the PKA podcast, which is a pretty popular, like, normie podcast. It's pretty edgy, but I watch it for entertainment, certainly not politics. And they talked about Kanye West's tweet where he said he's going DEFCON 3 on the Jews. And FPS Russia's read of that was that maybe Kanye West, because he's such so good with like words and lyrics, actually meant something when he said DEFCON Jews. He said, I'm going to go DEFCON on the Jew. Like he came up with like the most, didn't PKA platform Medicare a bunch? Oh yeah. They came up with like the most convoluted excuse for how Kanye West could not be a Nazi. To give you an idea, yes, the normies are in fact finding excuses for how Kanye West isn't a Nazi, and they're working to it. But people like this who outright say, well, actually, yeah, neo-Nazi propaganda is right. These people only make it worse for the neo-Nazi types. They're only making it harder for themselves. It is sort of like important to these people. They keep the reality of what they're fighting for close to the chest until it's too late. You know, like your average victim of the neo-Nazi pipeline needs to, by the point they realize what they've been going through, needs to have already like ostracized everybody in their lives and become like so unlikable and like such a hated weirdo in their real life that they literally have no going back. There's no other community or support structure to take them in besides the 4chan or whatever Discord group of Nazis they hang out with every day when they get home from their wagey cagey job.
to actually visit the Holocaust Museum and really sympathize with what was happening there with the Jewish people. This was over.
We're gonna get some virtue signaling here. Here, guys, enjoy this fucking Nazi who's defending another Nazi. Virtue signal about how his heart bleeds. His heart bleeds for the Jews who died in the Holocaust. All right, let's hear it.
In Poland, but I also did see this pamphlet there, this book known as the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and this book is dangerous material. A lot of people don't like you taking a look at this book because this was the propaganda material that caused a lot of the anti-Semitism, that caused much of the Holocaust, that fueled a lot of the hatred against Jewish people in Nazi Germany that was used by Adolf Hitler. But I love conspiracy theories, so to give a little context, this text is
Okay, I think it's important to remember, guys, that if any figure on the internet touts themselves as a connoisseur of conspiracy theories, your guard can never be let down. I'm sorry, but I never let my guard down if I find out somebody's a connoisseur of conspiracy theories. Having a tendency to spend all of your time thinking about how you are, like, I understand the idea of thinking for yourself and wanting to break out of like what you may have been taught. Like, that's a lot of how I became so left wing. But if you genuinely believe that despite the overwhelming amount of evidence in most cases for your average I'm talking like flat earth and shit, these are people who are like very much mentally ill. And even conspiracy theories that have a lot of weight to them, like the people who obsess with them tend to be like very mentally ill and not right in the head. Like Grassy Knoll, like I've looked at the shit about the Grassy Knoll thing, and it looks pretty legit. It looks pretty legit, but you know what? Doesn't fucking matter. So what if the government killed fucking Kennedy? What can I do about it? If I know for a fact and I push it hard enough, then they'll kill me too. So what's the point? Does it? No, like, okay. Didn't they in court literally call the bullet that killed Kennedy the magic bullet? Because they literally can't explain how the bullet that supposedly bounced and ricocheted several times stayed so intact and unhurt, because the only way the bullet could be in such a position would be if, like in the Grassy Knoll video, somebody was on that little hill and shot him in the head, front facing, and that's what sent him flying back, not him taking a bullet to the back, it bouncing a few times, and then sending his body. I don't know. It's a whole thing. The JFK conspiracy is legit. The government explanation makes no sense. It really... Also, like, the response from Harvey Oswald when he got caught was like, what? Wait. Oh, I'm the fall guy? I'm the fucking fall guy. That was his reaction, according to the people who arrested him, was he got angry about how he was the fall guy, and that's what he kept saying. He was, like, muttering to himself angrily about being the fall guy. Like, so... Yeah, I don't know, but like, who cares? Like that's like the people who dedicate themselves to talking about that shit and obsessing over that shit tend to not have a lot going for themselves in their lives. I don't know. Never let your guard down around people that are like, I love conspiracy theories, because there's usually a lot more baggage to come along with that, right? Also, almost every conspiracy theory comes back around to the Jews. Almost everyone. Pretty much every one of them, like, comes around to, well, the Jews are the ones covering it up.
How Jews were trying to assimilate as potential infiltrators to take over society in this international conspiracy network, and how there was going to be this elaborate plan where Jews would be kings of the world in 100 years. Now, the disconcerting thing about this is there's this World Zionist Organization, which is this mysterious group of people, and they've got like hundreds of thousands of people spread across various countries, and they're this strange radical religious organization, and they were banned in the Soviet Union, but I believe they do continue to exist today. I don't know what they do. Maybe they should just...
So is he going to like point to random niche political religious extremist groups? I don't even know if these groups are religious extremists or if they're real or anything like this. But like, none of these things are arguments to defend Kanye West trying to push the JQ and popularize neo-Nazi propaganda. This is just the Donald Trump is actually playing 4D chess argument. Okay, how big is this guy? Yeah, I think we've seen enough anyway. I can show you guys. Yeah, this guy's a pretty big YouTuber, it looks like. He gets decent views. His name's Tech Lead Show. This is just one of his YouTube channels, though. iPhone versus Android. Why Your Family is Trash. My Thoughts on Joshua Fluke. I'm tired of traveling my existential crisis as a millionaire. Jesus. Day in the life of a senior software engineer, ex-Google millionaire. Day in the life of an alpha male. Japan vlog in it. Should you marry her? My thoughts on marriage as a millionaire. Oh no! No! Wait! How Andrew Tate saved my life! Wait! Okay, guys, I swear to God, I did not look at this guy's channel even the slightest bit before going on my rant about how there's an epidemic of middle-aged men getting divorced by the women that they're with, despite being rich and like wealthy and successful, and then falling into depression and neo-Nazism after the fact. I swear, I didn't know. I didn't know this guy was a shiny example of it. I had no fucking clue. This guy surely has other channels, right? He had a gold play button. Yeah, oh, wow. Wow. 1.38 million subs on his main channel. No wonder he uploaded his Nazi propaganda on his second channel. How to protect your crypto. Sell it. It's only dying out. Why crypto isn't coming back. I'm getting out of this market crash. Yeah? Jesus Christ. Well, yeah. Expect to see a lot more of this. Expect to see a lot more of your, like, random apolitical content creator that you watch for whatever reason to be like, oh, I'm a Nazi, and I've had to hide it all these years. Hell yeah, now it's time to be open about it. Expect to see a lot more of that. You're going to see a lot of neo-Nazis coming out of the woodwork. More than I think you guys could even imagine. Which is why the left is going to have to prepare. And if you want to prepare the left, then you can do so right now by donating, subscribing, or gift. No, I'm just kidding. No. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like on the video down below, whether you're watching live or if you're watching the video after the fact. It really do appreciate it. It helps the channel out more than you guys even realize. You can also see more from me and make sure YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video by subscribing, ring the bell icon, and turning on all notifications. So YouTube actually tells you when I go live or I upload a new video. And of course, if you want to see more from me online, you can follow my social medias, all linked down below, including my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and my fan Discord. And of course, if you want to support me financially directly, and you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, you can always do so very easily by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. As always, though, no matter how you support me, I really appreciate it, and have a good one.